Proverbs 12:17. He that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit. There is that speaketh like the piercing of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. The lip of the truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil, but to the counselors of peace is joy. There shall no evil happen to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with mischief. Lying lips are an abomination to Yahweh, but they that deal truly are his delight. Call halal Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Rakaha Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. Now more so than ever, the would-be judges, right? The tabernacle of David will be the judges over all mankind, over all governments here on earth, under the authority of who the world fraudulently and falsely calls JC. His name is Yahweh Shai. Right, and to the rest of the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen nations, that have the appearance of the heathen nations, who the Lord is coming to reclaim out of those nations. Right, and to the few Akwaf, meaning the sisters that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another brutal lesson in truth and reality. And lies are being told by the mainstream media. You have to always let us never forget that there were never any weapons of mass destruction. And yet trillions of dollars and millions of lives died as a result of it. I'll say it again. There were never any weapons of mass destruction. Yet trillions of dollars of debt is upon the American citizens as a result, and millions of people died throughout Western Asia and North Africa. All right, and Libya, Iraq, Syria. Now this wicked purge-like situation is going on in Gaza. Okay? All over, and all that goes back to the lies that there were weapons of mass destruction. That whole incident, from the bringing down of those towers has led you up to this moment. As these people started operating around the law, getting rid of the Constitution, putting in, codes, mandates, executive orders, which are illegal to do. Anything that goes against the law of the land is unlawful. So, Trump's not the first president or administration to do, to violate the Constitution. Your government's been violating the Constitution. Hell, Title 4D child support, gotta mention it. That's a big, flagrant violation of constitutional law. They enforce it very illegally, according to the law of the land, because they violate your civil rights. They do all sorts of things that I don't even want to begin to go into, because I'll be on that subject all day. All right, but I'll give you this one thing. All right, this one thing that completely shuts it down. All right. And that is that it is illegal to place an American citizen under a foreign treaty. And Title 4D, all right, it's definitely a foreign treaty. All right, one day soon, Lord's will, I'm gonna do a lesson. I'm gonna just present you the book, their booklet, their playbook, and show you in black and white. All right, what they're doing and how they're violating it. And what they do, same way they're doing with this, is that they get this stuff started through the courts, but then when you catch them up and prove the fraud, the way that what they're doing is they're keeping it out of the courts and claim that they don't have jurisdiction. Wait a minute, so the same judges that had jurisdiction to start that fraud don't have the jurisdiction to stop it when you show the receipts and prove that they're committing a fraud against you and that they're violating your rights. You see the hypocrisy in this? And this is what we're dealing with. 100% propaganda. All right. So I'm going to let this video play. It was put up by the beloved Elder Bro ICR. So without any further ado,
give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. I'm back with another quick lesson through the Holy Spirit of the Rakakwadash. And this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51 and verse 45. And it reads, it says, my people, go you out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Verse 46, and lest your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that should be heard in the land. A rumor should both come 1 year, and after that in another year should come a rumor. And violence in the land, ruler against ruler.
Tonight, tear gas deployed after another clash in Chicago during President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration. Homeland Security officials say an SUV carrying an undocumented immigrant trying to flee arrest first rammed a Border Patrol vehicle. Then the Border Patrol vehicle crashed into the SUV to stop it. Chicago police say a hostile crowd started throwing objects at federal agents who then deployed tear gas. 13 officers were exposed to it.
There's absolutely no reason.
Wow. The tear gas came from ICE. And there's actually a video. I haven't seen it, but witnesses have confirmed there's a video of a Chicago police officer, white shirt, meaning a lieutenant or sergeant. And the canister lands right at his feet. So the police were exposed to it as well as. So ICE is being very, very unprofessional or purposely, trying to, well,
to have this kind of chaos happening in our communities, putting people at risk, just exacerbating the fear that people feel right now.
The latest clash comes as DHS says Mexican drug cartels are now offering cash to target ICE officers and other federal agents. $5,000 to $10,000 for kidnapping or assaults on officers, and up to $50,000 for the assassination of high-ranking officials.
Let us never forget, there were never any weapons of mass destruction. Just like, they can get on the internet. They'll say that there was a hack and never provide any proof that there was a hack. All right. These people will orchestrate chaos and to blame it on someone else so that they can act a new code, statute, or executive order that violates the law of the land to give them further overreach over the citizens.
We're not backing down. President Trump and Secretary Noem are going to give our law enforcement the resources they need to succeed and clean up America's streets.
The president
and clean up America's streets. And you notice that story would have happened on 75th has gone away, and there's so many rumors as to this and that. Turns out that it looks like the building was about to be repossessed from the owners. And that was a power move to stop some things and prevent some financial losses by doing what they did. And one thing I will tell you that I do know, all right, is that building set in between Lakeside folks and Terrortown moles. All right. Trende Araga was not operating shit over there. They were talking about people being hit over the head with bats and robbed and trafficking and drugs. Nobody was selling drugs or trafficking anybody in the middle of Lakeside GDs and Terrortown Blackstones. All right. That's what the moles. All right. So that was a complete and total lie. Okay. That was not happening. When no Trende Araga operating in the middle of two major, very well established, decades old, going, 5-6 decades old Chicago street gangs.
Today, once again, touting his crackdown on crime in Democratic-led cities.
Chicago, we've already...
Meanwhile, all the mass unaliving, rapes, leaders in child child incest things what are done by pale males here in America, they're not doing anything in red cities. All right, it's only the Democrat-led cities, mostly those that have ethnic mayors. Things that make you go,
They made a lot of progress despite fighting from the government, but Chicago's doing great.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is now refusing to play a video of DHS Secretary Kristi Noem at airports where she slams Democrats. Johnson calling the video propaganda.
Gabe Gutierrez.
Yeah, so this shit is heating up. All right? Blood and violence is going to cover the streets of America soon.
And he's right. The beloved bro is right. I was talking with Yaradamba yesterday about the Hunger Games. We all remember President Snow. All right. You watch those Hunger Game movies. It was nothing but propaganda. I rewatched The Running Man. About what? Maybe about 4 or 5 days ago. The old 80s movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'm seeing the dude's face. He was real popular in the 70s and 80s. A dude from West Africa. And then a little Northern Kingdom chick. Conchita something, whatever. But yeah, but right. And what they did was, they used technologies, a sort of AI, to frame him and put out false information, and then and then had the real files hid, somewhere else. But they showed you the edited versions. So, this is how this government operates. Everything's edited and revised to fit their narrative. Okay? And all this control, goes back to the small hats. Trying to get to this part when the brother was talking about the CIA teaching, not the CIA, but the Mossad that was educating people down south of the border on how to dispose of bodies with this whole cartel type thing.
It's all orchestrated. It's all set up. And this shows you that that this devil, okay, he has his hand in everything. Check this out, right?
There were people from Israel. They came over here and trained Santiago Mesa, but later on, digging more in the information, one of the leaders of the cartel was sent to Israel to be trained of how to decompose the bodies and also how to make the drainage system. Can you explain that?
Yeah, in 1985, Lepra, he go to Israel in training to dissolve bodies in acid, and then.
I remember that woman. Remember this Adelson chick, all the money that they just gave, and then that woman who was a former. She was something to do with the Israel security. I forget her name. So while the Israelis were actually committing the atrocities on the Gazans, all right, on the people of Palestine, she came on television and said the problem in America were the problem in Israel was way across seas in America were young blacks. Why? Because of the awakening of the tribes. They know as well as we know, the whole world knows at this point, these people are frauds. They are not who they claim to be. All right? But what they are is this powerful controlling entity, which is Esau Edom, just as the Bible describes. Remember, the Lord returns to a world controlled by Edom. And the Edomites here in America have handlers. All right. And their handlers are the little hats. 144% truth spoken right there. Okay.
When he back to Mexico, he come together with other person to Israel, to Tijuana.
Let me read this Mark 14. It says, for many bear false witness against him, but their witness agreed not together. And there arose certain and bear false witness against him, saying, we heard him say, I will destroy the temple that is made with hands, and within 3 days I will build another made without hands. But neither so did their witness agree together. And this is what happens with Esau, Edom. And this is the same thing that they're doing. They're doing what those wicked Israelites did back then against the Lord. They're doing it against the Lord's people by, condemning the cartels and all this stuff. And I'm not saying the cartels are good guys. They're a bunch of wicked SOBs. But nobody's wickedness measures up to that wickedness of the so-called white man, because the so-called white man has killed, at this point, it could, over the last, it could be in the trillions by now. It's definitely millions when it deals with America. From the time of the landing of Cristobal Colon, who they call Christopher Columbus, right? Hundreds of millions. Then you think about World War I, World War II, and all the wars before and after. We're talking about hundreds of millions of people. Lives were extinguished over lies and wars that were created for profit, to gain control over people. All right, so that they can rule over people and control their resources. And this is what we're talking about. From a people that because the Israelites, according to the Bible, all right, in the last days would be helpless and have to depend completely on their Lord and Savior to come and save them from their enemies. Luke, the 1st chapter. And to be restored. And then not only that, the Bible clearly tells you that the Israelites would not know who they were. They would be they would have to remember themselves in the latter days, not be a people, and they would be the borrowers and not the lenders. They wouldn't have voices. They would be helpless. They wouldn't have a military and major government supporting them. All right. And the Israelis are pimping the shit out of Americans. All right. It is what it is. They're pimping Americans. Did you know that in Israel? Yep. Let me go back. Give you just a quick example.
Did you know that in Israel, when you have a baby, you get a check? And then that baby gets a check every month until it's 18, put into the mother's bank account. It's our tax dollars. Did you know that in Israel, when you have a baby, you get a check? And then that baby gets a check every month until it's 18, put into the mother's bank account. It's our tax dollars. Did you know that in Israel, when you have a baby, you get a check? And then that baby gets a check every month until it's 18, put into the mother's bank account. It's our tax dollars.
I have to let you hear it 3 times, man, because it's 100% true. All right, because they lobby and control your government, and basically this ensures that their citizens are very well taken care of. You don't know why they just have so much money, so much wealth. All right, imagine if you get a check every month all the way up until you're 18 years old in a bank account that's growing interest, that's invested in something. You think they open up and own all the businesses, or a couple of them get together and open up nightclubs and bars and, whatever. Okay, you best believe one of the most popular areas in Chicago as far as entertainment is Wrigleyville. And the majority of those bars and nightclubs are owned by guess who? The Little Hats. All the clubs. And so you think about it. who owns the majority of the big basketball, football clubs, etc., etc. And then in those areas, you know, where these places are bars and restaurants. And generally, you know, collectively, it's Edomites that own these places. And then even among the Edomites, it's the little hats, because they're Edomites too, that own the majority of all those things. That's a fact. The Israelites would be broke, poor, on the bottom with nothing. They wouldn't even be called by what they are. They'd be called by bywords and other names, fraudulent names. All right. So let me unfortunately, the video that I wanted, I don't think, let me see. It might be, it was one that I got from Apostle Ramlab that I wanted to play. I don't know if I sent it to this phone yet, but it's of a rabbi. It's of a pastor going in hard on the fraud that is being committed by these Israelis. And he mentions in the video and breaks it down. He mentions, well, you know what? I'll just go to my receipts. He mentions the 1925 Jewish Encyclopedia, which lines up with the 1905 Jewish Encyclopedia, which also lines up with the 1980 Jewish Almanac. And they all pretty much say the same thing. And the Bible said it before any of them. And that is this right here. He was basically talking about this. The Encyclopedia Judaica, 1925. It reads, Esau Edom is modern Jewry. Esau Edom is modern Jewry. Esau Edom is modern Jewry. 1925 Encyclopedia, Volume 5, page 41. They are not Israel or Judah, and that is 100% truth. Edomite Jews begin to call themselves Hebrews and Israelites, or Israelis, actually, in 1860. Encyclopedia Judaica, 1971, Volume 10, paragraph 23. Edomite Jews began to call themselves Hebrews and Israelites in 1860. Encyclopedia Judaica, 1971, Volume 10, chapter or paragraph 23. All right. And here in the book, where's that book at? Oh, shoot, it's on the bottom, of course. I can't read the title. But yeah, the resources are, you got the Invention of the Jewish Nation by Shlomo Sand. All right. And then this one, hold on. I got to lift all these up because I got a stack of books here, Salakia. And of course, the one that I want to quote is on the bottom. You can't see it. All right, I got to read this Black Awakening. But yeah, the Sephardim in America, Studies of the Cultures and History. So the actual Israelites that came from Portugal and Spain, the swarthy Morenos, right, that came from Portugal and Spain, contrary to popular belief, helped set up the colonies. Why? Because they were the same people as the natives that were already here. All chocolate and swarthy complected people. All right, that's why they were able to come over here. And then you had the Ashkenazi come in and take the place of those Sephardim, of those Morenos, of those Moors and Morenos who came over here from Portugal and Spain. And they stepped into that place and basically took over. And then that lines right up with this receipt that the Edomite Jews began to call themselves. The Edomite Jews began to call themselves Hebrews and Israelites in 1860, Encyclopedia Judaica, 1971, Volume 10, paragraph 23. So, so to hell, whatever they got to say, they are liars. They are effing liars. Let's get one last scripture, which is Deuteronomy 33:29. And it reads, I'm going to start at 28. It just further proves that they're not, because when Israelites go back to the land of Israel, they will dwell in peace and safety alone. Once again, when the Israelites go home, when they go back to the Holy Land, there will be no more wars on earth. They will dwell in peace and safety. They will need missiles. As a matter of fact, when the Israelites go home, according to the Bible, according to the Torah, to the Tanakh, all the weapons will be gathered up and destroyed, because there will be no more wars on earth upon the return of the Israelites to the Holy Land, which goes to show you the complete total lies of Judeo-Christianity. All right. Deuteronomy 33:28. Israel then shall dwell in peace and safety alone. The fountain of Jacob shall be upon the land of corn and wine, and also heaven shall drop down dew. Why? Because it will be on earth as in heaven. The kingdom of heaven is going to be on earth, and it will be controlled and ran from out of Israel, and King David will sit on the throne once again, because the Lord will rebuild the tabernacles of David as in the days of old. Amos 9 and 11. Go read about what was happening when David was sitting on the throne and the Israelites were ruling the world, the known world at the time, all the nations around them. Deuteronomy 33:29. Happy art thou, Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by Yahweh, the shield of thy help, who is the sword of thy excellency, and thy enemy shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. Let us never forget, all right, that there was a third tower that fell at 9/11, right? That the science completely is contrary and disagreement with the narrative that they pushed, that they put into the history books. All right. And let us never forget that there were never any weapons of mass destruction. Right? There were never any weapons of mass destruction. And look at all the continued death and wars that continue to push forward from that one lie. Kol halal Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai Bahasham, Rakaha Kodash, Kwam Yasharala, Abba Babal.